shade. Welcome to the Completely Unnecessary Podcast for March 1st, Tuesday. It's March 2022.
It's March.
That's Ian. I'm Pat Country. On the show today, we'll be talking about our time at the SoCal Gaming Expo this past weekend. We might have a small Amico update, maybe a small one.
Update.
Nintendo Switch Online gets achievements and more tomfoolery happening. I was asked, Ian, how was your weekend? But I knew how your weekend was because I was with you the entire weekend.
You were with me the entire weekend.
In body and spirit. We were at the SoCal Gaming Expo.
Yeah.
In beautiful Ontario, California.
It was exhausting. It was great. It was a wonderfully run convention. It was my first one back. My voice cracks a lot.
I didn't hear that
days.
crack.
Oh, you didn't? I caught it. I could.
Well, it was my first one back in 3 years. It was 3 years.
Well, it was my first convention. I mean, since
2.5 years
since Portland 2019. I think it was a smaller area, but I think it was perfect kind of for this. I feel like everyone who has to throw a convention at this point is in this position where
Hedge betting.
Even I mean, even as things get better right now and probably for the next few years, every person who's throwing a convention is probably going to feel like it's a gamble.
Yeah.
And it's very, very stressful.
We're at the whim of these fucking COVID variants coming and going.
So, kudos to the team for what they put out. I had a really good time. I think everyone had a really good time. They nailed it on the vendors.
The spacing, you mean, and everything.
I think,
or the constitution of
the constitution of them too. That was one of the more interesting show floors I'd seen in a while in terms of variety.
I was going to say you found almost every. There was one person that had a ton of TurboGrafx and PC Engine stuff. Another person had Turbo stuff, I think, as well. And
I saw three people there with AES stuff. Three people with AES stuff.
Don't usually see that.
I saw. If we count like the filler sports games that you had, I think I saw 4 booths with some sort of PC Engine or TurboGrafx presence.
I had more than filler sports PC Engine. I resent that. I had a Fire Pro. Okay. I had that Densetsu one.
There's no Densetsu that no one in the U.S. is going to play unless they know Japanese.
I had more than filler. Don't you slander
and I'm
my
sorry,
selection.
I love Fire Pro, but Fire Pro is on PC Engine. Fire Pro is the definition of filler. Like it's everywhere.
I got $12 for that, Ian.
Yeah.
I sold my Mahjong games. I sold all my PC. We'll get into that later. Topic.
We'll get into that later. But I saw 4 or maybe even 5 booths that had, I'm not saying a ton, but had some sort of PC Engine or Turbo presence. A lot more Game Boy than I'm used to seeing.
There was one down the road from us that had a bunch on the little stand with a little.
Yeah, but I mean that was everywhere. So
you spent a lot. You bought a lot.
No, I didn't. I spent a lot I spent a decent amount at the PC Engine guys booth. Everything else I bought was like sub $10 Game Boy shit.
Okay, where I turn around, you were buying something else.
Yeah, but I mean that's that. And granted, you're right. I mean, compared to how I've been at recent conventions, even the ones like leading up to before COVID. Like I remember, I think I bought 1 Game Boy Advance game in Long Island.
Gotcha.
I think I bought like maybe 2 Game Boy games in Portland. But if it's there, I'll pick it up. And it was yeah. So
I bought one thing. I bought one of the Sierra Disney titles I did like in the mid 80s.
Sure. For
$20. It was marked 40. He said, make me an offer. I said, I'll give you $20.
We'll talk more about the buying and selling later. We've got
more about that.
We've got a topic.
But we saw part of the Game Chasers movie before we got dinner. It was entertaining.
Looked like a real movie.
Well, yes. So I would hope so. They had a crew, Ian, and everything.
I mean, but it's not something I necessarily followed, and I even told them. I don't mean this to sound like base, but I don't know what to expect from a movie made by YouTubers in general.
Well, Billy always had an eye for shooting and editing from
Sure.
the Game Chasers.
So I don't know what to expect. I've never watched any of the movies. I have not.
You never saw the AVGN movie?
I've not seen the AVGN movie.
That's a real movie.
So I was just impressed. Like it
looks like a movie. Adventures in Game Chasing. They changed the title, which was a smart move because not everyone knows who the hell the Game Chasers are in real life.
Yes.
So it can appeal to a wider a wider audience. And supposedly Jay told me I walked out about 2 minutes right before the Pat character shows up. So there is a Pat character that's not. I'm not playing it, yes. But there is someone. I guess it's an homage to me or something. And I was just like, well, that's interesting. I existed. I could have probably shot it, but that's okay. But and then you're leaving out an important monumental achievement that happened that weekend. You left out that Pat came in and won the Paperboy NES High Score trophy.
Right.
And Ian was a doubter.
I was a Debbie doubter.
He said, "No, Pat, you're gonna do that."
I was a Daniel doubter.
And I was like, "Oh, really, Ian?" Ian forgets the years of me dominating during the NES marathon.
Well, you also said you practiced leading up to it.
No, I did not say that. What I did was I looked at the manual and saw the scoring. I did not practice. Slander. Did not say that. What I did, though, was when in the first game, I did not hit the high score was 40,000. On my second attempt Saturday afternoon, I hit 80,000. I crushed it. And then on Sunday, I'm going to put it right here. I got like the top 5 high scores. My highest was 120,000 and change. Now that's good enough for 10th place on Twin Galaxies.
Wow.
10th place without training.
The interesting thing that I think you said about Paperboy is that it's so hard
to
see
this trophy. Look at a good job, and all the trophies are good. Sorry to cut you off. They had an NBA Jam trophy that looked beautiful. It was a basketball that was like glittery. Then they had the Dr. Mario trophy, which had literally pills in it.
It was Tic Tacs. It was Tic Tacs they put in a prescription container.
And I said before the event, I'm winning this. Sorry to cut you off. Go on.
That's okay. What was I saying? It was staying alive is hard enough in Paperboy that if you just focus on staying alive as opposed to all the other scoring stuff, like crawl before you can walk, basically.
Yes.
You're going if you just focus on staying alive, you're probably naturally going to get a better high score than anyone who's literally trying to play the game legitimately without knowing how to play the game.
Yes, it's a balance between staying alive because once you hit Wednesday, Thursday gets hairy. And you got to know there is a pattern, but you also have to be super precise on like the radio controlled cars moving while the dog's sitting there. You got to get to the right side of the dog in order to hit it with the newspaper, or else it'll eat you up. And I had like professionals, say gamers, going after the score. There was I don't know if they're brothers or friends. They were called the score chasers.
I think they exist everywhere. I think there's different teams. I don't quite know the score chasers thing, but that guy that I got into it with
was one of those.
But his shirt was a different color.
The guy you got into years back at Retropalooza.
He was wearing like a purple version of that, and his had different games on it. So I think they're like teams or something like that.
What event was that at? Was that Retropalooza? No, you didn't go to Retropalooza yet.
That was Retropalooza. No, that was Game On Expo 2018.
So the one of the guys from the score chaser, they're both nice.
No, they both of the guys to this.
The one came over and congratulated me after he realized he couldn't get close to my score. But the one won the Dr. Mario versus tournament.
Yeah.
One won that. And damn it, I missed out on entering the Street Fighter 2 tournament Sunday. Damn it. But then the other one spent the entire Sunday hours trying to beat my score. And I was nervous. In all transparency, I did about 10 attempts. And out of the 10 attempts, I got probably 4 of the 5 top scores of the weekend. And I put it at a distance on Sunday morning before the event opened. When I got the 120, which is I completed Sunday. So I was nervous, but I said to JJ, this guy's been trying for hours. If he beats it, I want a chance to repeat the score at the end of the day. It's only fair. I said, but no, I got it. I'm happy. It was a great event. It was good to be out there with people having fun. Good con food too. I got the chicken burrito bowl both days there. So I
thought it was a little plain, but the pho restaurant we went to was quite good.
Then we went to the Vietnamese bakery afterwards.
And then
I found a spot for this.
And the shit. I was gonna say something else about it. Something about the food.
Something about the food?
Can't remember.
It was good.
Anyways, it was a great convention. I enjoyed it. Our friend Tom brought us delicious empanadas. I
did not have any. I forgot to have one.
I was gifted marijuana or THC containing items 3 times. So thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Slipped that under the radar. I didn't notice that.
It's it's legal in California. It's not a big deal.
No, I didn't notice it.
But
so you can't do it.
I will say that the people who sneak me in my home state, it's a treat.
It's a treat.
But in other states, you are literally lifesavers because I can't always bring that shit.
they're not literally lifesavers.
Across
they'd be tasty.
the border.
Assortments of fruit.
Yeah. Moving on.
Oh, we did a panel as well.
Oh, we did. It was good.
But unfortunately, we had no topics at the time, so we just rambled for an hour. People enjoyed it.
It was good.
We did a Q&A, but I don't think that's going to make... Maybe that'll be an exclusive. Maybe I'll put up as an exclusive on Patreon.
Throw it up on Patreon.
There you go, Ian. That's why Ian gets paid the big bucks. That's there. Right. Throw it. It's like, that's right. All right, trophy. I got to find a space for the trophy next week here.
All right, Nintendo. Doing stuff. Nintendo pulled Smash Brothers from EVO, which is a bummer. But for those who may have forgotten or don't remember, Sony bought EVO after there was a scandal involving one of the original
that was
promoters
like a year ago,
a couple of years ago. I honestly, it could have been a year ago, it could have been 5 years ago, I can't recall. And at the time, Nintendo said, we'll think about it going forward. And as of now, they have pulled out. They started going to EVO in, I believe it was 2007. That's what this Gadget article says. And I think a lot of people who played Smash were extremely happy to see Smash Brothers at a respected tournament, especially the years that it got main stage. There was a couple of years where it got main stage booking, where it was like, a focal point for a game that a lot of people, are like, it's not really a fighting game. And I don't really care what anyone's opinion is on it, but it validated their hobby, basically. But Nintendo, against all odds, because Nintendo usually does not engage with any competitive scenes, Nintendo has started running their own competitive Smash Brothers events with a promoter called with Panda Global.
Yeah, they partner with them.
Yeah,
I think that's more of it versus the Sony connection.
Yes, I do too. And that's the thing. Whenever we talk about exclusives and stuff like that, there are still people who come out of the woodwork, and I get it. They have to be strategic with licenses, but it's like when we talk about the Bethesda stuff. Not all of that is going to be exclusive to Xbox, because why would they stop revenue income coming in? If Nintendo, I mean, it's not like Sony plasters their stuff all over the EVO thing. It's not like we saw the one year, it didn't look like it was a big ad for PlayStation. There's no reason for them not to take that stage for promotion unless they're doing it themselves.
And this is like I didn't want to say it's a lost leader for Nintendo to do this, because Nintendo's not really getting anything besides publicity out of these tournaments. And this is a game that's, it's been out for years.
So if they're going to do it themselves.
Yeah. Obviously, the Melee one, they're not making money off of anymore. And obviously, Ultimate's been out for years at this point. What, 3 years at this point? 3.5? Something like that?
Sure.
So it's not like they're selling any more copies of the game at this point by promoting this, but it obviously for the future game that comes out in the next console, whatever, 4 or 5 years later, if there's another one, because this is Ultimate, how do you get better, Ian? I don't know. Maybe you just add more fighters and they take the Smash Bros. The Mario Kart route and just
people are going to hate me, but this is what I've been saying for years now. Every generation of Nintendo products gets a Mario Kart and a Smash Brothers early on that they simply update as a games as a service. I understand why people don't like games as a service, but with shit like this, it just makes sense. Instead of it's not 1980 or 1990s. We don't have technical limitations. We don't need to release 4 entries of a game.
No, the graphics won't get that much better.
Right.
We perfect the gameplay. Why do you need an entire new game from scratch? You just don't. You don't. We're grown-ups now. We got there, Ian. We finally got there. Took 50 years of modern video games, the anniversary this year, to get there. We got there, or at least video games as a product, which is 50-year anniversary this year with Pong, and more importantly, the Man of Oz Odyssey for home consoles. Good old the GOAT Ralph Baer. So yeah, it's not. I don't see a lot of backlash against it. I think people kind of expected that, or they weren't going to be shocked by that. Out of them pulling out there. This is an interesting little article out of Japan. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. I got to bring up the translation. So this is a museum, translate to English, to Japanese.
Basically what I saw was someone was going around and basically taking old retro video game systems, like Famicoms, refurbishing them and giving them to people who have to stay inside in Japan because of the pandemic.
So it's a nonprofit called JARGA, Japan Retro Game Association. I love that, JARGA. was established in 2016.
I do kind of like that.
Jarga, yeah. Jarga. Utada Ishii, 49, the chairman of the board, has been in the used game sales business for nearly 20 years, has endeavored to repair game machines, secure parts, and collect software. This is an article from withnews.jp, Japanese article. Currently, it is aiming to reduce its sales business and realize a retro game museum that displays its collections. Okay, people in here are trying to get that going as well, over on, across the ocean. Recently, I visited a base in Osaka Prefecture and asked Mr. Ishii to introduce a part of the huge stock and asked about the current situation surrounding retro games. So there's a shelf of there's a Master System there. It looks like is that the Japanese one? Could be. And a few 32Xs, some Game Gears in the box. There's a good old Ian's Duo R right there. And there's a Duo X as well, Duo RX, and a Mega CD. So this is, there's a lot of stuff there. So like I said, he started giving out crap to people. 100 Super Nintendo systems were presented free of charge to families with children in response to the simultaneous closures of schools due to the coronavirus. There you go. Doing good work. People playing old games, laying around. Like you said at the shop, people started coming in and wanting to play games again.
Right.
What else are you going to do with your free time?
Yeah. And I mean, I think, over the pandemic, people were a lot more willing to try new things when they were getting bored. So,
yeah.
Even if they didn't, in Japan where video games are, more of a regular pastime for people, I feel like anyone who maybe was avoiding it would still really enjoy and get use out of something like that.
It's an interesting article because in the translation, it changes like Famicom to NES here. Mm-hmm. So it shows him how he, because Famicoms notoriously would yellow a lot of them.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
We fortunately didn't have that problem because we had gray, not like the
well, I mean, not as bad but we'd still have the problem.
It's not as bad.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, it's a lot rarer to find a yellowed NES versus this. But went through how the process of doing it and like drawing them out and putting all the shells in a box there. And so, yeah, it's an interesting article because it goes into like some of the repair stuff as well, like the Nintendo 64's analog stick there. No, it's a nice article. It's a nice article. And I always heard that like retro gaming wasn't as big in Japan versus here.
That's something I've heard too. And that's, I was thinking about that earlier because you mentioned that, kind of like a museum, over there. It's nice to see. It's at least nice. Maybe there always has been a group of people there who have been trying to preserve it, but it's nice to hear through articles now that there are people in Japan looking at it closer as something to,
sure.
That's useful. It's not just junk.
Sure. This is a huge article. I mean, it goes into bootleg stuff. There's a little bit about Game & Watch here. No, check it out. I'll link it up. Oh, there's the cool the Western light gun we didn't get here, Nintendo's one, which I sold the Camerica one to someone at the event, which was the gray one that came in here, was unlicensed, which was, yeah.
That's right. I saw it. Yeah, you had that.
Sold that for $10. Someone got a decent deal on that. Without the box. Anyway, yeah, check out the article. I'll link it. You just got to click like Google Translate to English, and you can see that. There's no translation needed at ultimatenintendo.com if you're an English speaker natively. You can get pins. We sold a bunch this past weekend.
Pretty centric, pretty Eurocentric, pretty something.
I said if you're an English speaker there's no translation needed, and I qualified it.
Yeah.
Jeez,
yeah.
slander. He's slandering me this whole podcast. Yeah. You can get the books. You can get the RBI baseball stickers. I sold about 10 the past weekend there. Not all of them. And then we have the shirts that are limited, the limited shirts, as well as the old Mom Man. Someone said I should get Mom Man on the soundboard. I think they're right. We only have, I think, small limited shirts left right now. But we have a lot of medium and smalls for the Mom Mans. For some reason, the smaller folks don't want the limited shirts. Just the larger folks want the limited shirts. So we're sorry. We misjudged the form factor of the average CU podcast consumer. I guess you can say that. What can you do?
There have been years where the smalls sold. It's very weird.
No, we sold out of all the other shirts we printed out, and like I said, we there's probably the same amount of smalls left, maybe less of the My Man shirts. For some reason, the limited shirts. The black ones, we only have smalls left on there. I'm going to be on Twitch Wednesday night. Ian will not be there.
I will not.
He'll be there in a month for the 100th, though. I think he told me that in privacy.
I don't think I told him anything. I don't think I told you any of that, but we'll see.
That's at twitch.tv/countrycode. And then I'm on Cameo for all your shout out needs. You can ask about me holding up my nice Paperboy trophy.
Yeah.
Which I will rub in Ian's face forever. All right. 50% of Bitcoin payments were fraudulent. Jesus Christ. According to PC Gamer. What'd I say? I didn't say anything.
No, it's funny. It's funny.
Gabe Newell from Steam did an interview, and they stopped taking Bitcoin because there were fraudulent transactions willy-nilly.
Yep.
What? Cryptocurrency is associated with fraudulent activities and illegal things? Really? I did not know that, Ian.
Who knew?
So they introduced it in April 2016, and they moved it a year and a half later, December 2017. Right before the crash.
And I'm honestly surprised that it took that long. But that's when it was still like more of a nerdy hobbyist thing before it like even got.
Yeah, it was in 2017 when it started to blow up, and people were like, "Oh, to the moon!" And then it crashed when I predicted it was going to be in that December. I did a Not So Common podcasting about that, and it crashed weeks later. They removed it due to a volatility of Bitcoin's price. What you think? Has it ever been that stable? And a significant increase in the fees to process transactions on the Bitcoin network. Well, there you go. More recently, Valve raised the ire of crypto fans by banning crypto and NFT games from the store. Good on you, Steam. Last week, while talking to Valve President Gabe Newell about the Steam Deck, I also asked about that rule and his take on cryptocurrency in general. Turns out, not a fan, at least when it comes to Steam. And he said, the problem is that a lot of the actors who are in that space are not people you want interacting with your customers. Yes, because they're going to try to fleece people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fleece people for their fucking version of crypto that they made a ton of so that it goes up even incrementally a little bit and they can cash out and make a ton of money. That's all this shit is. That's all it is. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
All it is. We had problems. We started accepting cryptocurrencies as payment option. 50% of those transactions were fraudulent, which is a mind-boggling number. Yes, it is.
It really is. That's insane.
These were customers we didn't want to have. I would think so, Gabe. You would not want to have them. He reiterated that Bitcoin's fluctuations were a complete nightmare. Imagine, Ian, if you had cash laying around in your wallet, and then like one day you could buy like, a burrito with it, and a drink, maybe some quesadilla, some rolled tacos. The next day you couldn't anymore because the money just plummeted by like 30% and you couldn't afford it anymore.
Yeah.
Or you get 30% less food. Oh, you can't get rolled tacos tomorrow. You can get it today. Maybe the next day you'll be able to get them again. That's what cryptocurrency is.
You can have a bean.
Yeah.
Like the mice that carve the bean like it's a ham on the cartoons. You ever see that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember seeing that. Yeah. Did more than one cartoon do that?
I think that was.
Did Jerry ever do that?
I think Jerry might have done it, but I know another mouse definitely.
Like a Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Yeah. Would have been a
slice the bean. Hey, that's a big meal for them. To a mouse.
Bean slicing.
I wonder if another mouse ran amok this weekend while I wasn't here. Any other thoughts on this?
No. I'm not surprised. It's a neat thing to tell folks, but I mean, what else am I going to say?
Well, this is what Gabe said. That Gabe's smart person, I think. Which is what Ian's echoed and everyone else. There's a lot of really interesting technology in blockchain and figuring out how to do a distributed ledger. But I think that people haven't figured out why you actually need a distributed ledger.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, I used to postulate, yeah, it'd be cool to use this.
It's a cool party trick.
Like, what do you? Yeah, like at this point, what are you doing with it?
It's a cool party trick that, I mean, in a lot of ways, it is another example of a solution in search of a question.
Yes.
And they've just managed to push it very, very hard and fast.
And that's sort of where we were at with the blockchain-based NFT stuff. So much of it was ripping customers off. And we were like, yeah, that's not what we want to do. We don't want to enable screwing large numbers of our customers over. So that's what drove that decision.
Yeah.
There's nothing inherently about distributed ledgers that make them problematic. It's just so far, that's always what our experience has been. Yeah, the technology has been abused. Because that's almost like the reason it was created, maybe, or like, you know what I mean? Like maybe there was a highfalutin need for it at some point, but it hasn't borne out that it's been good for anyone really, besides people looking to get rich quick.
Right.
Get in early, Ian. That's always good to hear. Get in early.
Gotta get in.
Talk about our boy Sid Meier here.
What? Sid Meier? Yes.
What?
Sorry. Sid came out recently and said some stuff that Sid's getting older. This is pretty much like common knowledge stuff, but it's nice to hear someone respected say it.
So we had a couple of former gaming people get on board with fucking NFT shit.
Right, like fucking Will Wright.
Yes.
Which was so sad. So to hear Sid Meier come out and kind of be like the greatest of all time, the sane voice in the room when it comes to the elder statesman of game programming. So he says, what is unique, special, and appealing about games as a form of entertainment is being able to just focus on the gameplay.
Yes.
When you start thinking about making great games and then start thinking about them as a vehicle or opportunity for something else, monetization specifically, that's when we stray a little bit further from the path. And he says something that's fairly interesting. He says that gameplay is kind of cheap was something that he had mentioned. I can't find I just have to hit this to continue the article. In that great gameplay generally comes from, a couple of minds. But that, game design part is critical and crucial, but doesn't require a cast of thousands in the way some of the other aspects do. So it's perhaps easy to overlook the importance of the investment in game design and gameplay is.
Yes.
Where that's really where you need to focus. You can have all these hundreds of employees working on graphics and UI and monetization options in your FIFA Ultimate Team, but if you don't have enough people just focusing on the gameplay, it's awful. And that's where all of these NFT games are going to fall apart. And I feel like I almost, now that I'm rereading this, I feel like this almost feels like an attack at someone like Will Wright, who has gone on to make these NFT games. And while I will hazard a guess and say that if anyone who's making NFT games right now is going to make one that's at least remotely amusing, it might be Will Wright. But you have still eliminated that main focus on gameplay. It is now going to, it may be the first time that person plays it, but it's going to become work. Like I've always said, when it comes down to playing a game where you're actually making money, they are going to find the exploit that gets them that money the quickest, and that's all they're going to do.
Yeah, they'll figure out that not the hack. They'll figure out the direct
the optimal route.
Route, right? And then you break the game. Yeah, you break the fucking game.
Yeah, all of these games are meant to be broken. Every single one of these games that's being put out is meant to be broken.
Or get in early. Because then you're on the ground floor of it,
right?
Because it's not like a Ponzi or anything, but it's a Ponzi. All this NFT shit. No, yeah, and obviously Sid Meier, for those out there, was involved with Microprose simulation games, and then obviously Civilization. And so you can go back and play Civilization 1, and it's the same core gameplay of old. It's great.
Things change over time, and I love Civ 6. I liked Civ 3 a lot, or was it Civ 4? But Civ 1, I mean, it's still a fun game.
It's a great game.
Pop in the Super Nintendo version even, and it's a good time.
Civ, when I played Civ 1 on a lark, it was part of the Sound Blaster 16. There was like a bunch of CD-ROM games, and one was a Microprose 4-pack.
Remember when laptops or when PCs just used to come with that plastic bag full of fucking software and games and shit? Yeah.
Well, this was in the Sound Blaster 16 pack, which had the CD-ROM. And there was a Microprose 4-pack. It had Railroad Tycoon, F-117A Stealth, which I almost never played. A third game, which I forget, and then it had Civilization.
That game is for dads.
Yeah. And I never played Civilization out of all of those. I tried even Railroad Tycoon. And one time I said, what is this Civilization? This seems kind of weird. And I was like, at the time, probably, 12 or 13 when we got our second computer, which was a 4633. And then I loved it. I figured it out. I was like, oh, what? You start with the little icon that's a settler, and then you create a city. Like, I got it, and then I was so jazzed when I saw Civ 2 hit the shelves. And Civ 2 at the time was regarded as one of the best, throughout the 90s, one of the best games ever made, especially in the PC. Civ 2 was always ranked up high by like PC Gamer. It's like top 3. Of games. I think it was like 2 or 1 and one of their ones at one point. And it's the same game. That's the point. It's like you had a great foundation of a game. You make the money because it's a great game, not because there's fucking gimmicks involved or there's whatever they say, play to earn bullshit. It's a great game. You'll be selling Civilization for the next 1,000 years iterations of it because it's a great game. You figure it out. I love you, Sid Meier. Thank you.
Yeah, it's one of those games where like you can play it so many times and still get that. You can play it forever and still get a sense of discovery, or find a neat trick on like your science tree or something like that. It's great.
It's always a different game each time. Nintendo Switch got online achievements, Ian.
Not quite. However, I do feel like that would be a great way.
Missions and rewards. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it is quite different. It is quite different. So I watched the video. Basically, what Nintendo has added is through the Nintendo Online service, you can go and you can check out these missions. It's not achievements like what you're thinking of yet with like, do this in a game, do that in a game, you get an achievement. What this is it's more of like an overlying, we're going to tell you what to play.
You should play a certain game this
week. Play Super Mario Brothers on the NES thing, or, play Super Mario Odyssey, or do this, and we'll give you some coins. They'll give you some platinum.
It's like platinum, and you can redeem them for digital or physical items.
So, and what they've added in addition is sort of customizable avatars, where they have Animal Crossing ones now and Super Mario Odyssey ones, and it says that they're going to rotate them out every week. And what you can do is you can use your platinum coins to buy the pictures, but then there's also like little things you can do to edit the pictures, like you can pick a frame or a background for it. So you can mix, basically you can shuffle a bunch of layers together and make yourself your own little custom avatar. I do hope that this does signal that Nintendo is maybe looking into an achievements system.
Why would you like to see that instead of this? Like, what would
well, because that's what people want. I mean, that's what I want to see. The achievement system is more focused on the actual game. It's find all of these, do these. And while I don't often go out of my way for the achievements, I know a lot of people who say and have shown me with playtime that achievements have really helped them get more out of a game. It's helped them look at games from different angles. They don't necessarily go from all of them, but they always find a couple
more.
They explore more. They find a couple cool achievements in an achievement list to make sure that they go after.
Something the game didn't realize was there,
or something they wouldn't. Right. For instance, you can play an RPG, and if you get into a certain type of class or something like that, you'll play through the entire game, and you won't see half the spells of something. So if there's an achievement for leveling up a mage to a certain level, it might make people go that extra mile to check out something and experience the variety in games. I used to hate achievements because I used to just think it was a stupid way to add a meaningless score to it. But if it genuinely helps people get more out of the games and explore game systems more, then I'm all for it. I think it really is beneficial for stuff like role-playing games, big open-world games that have a lot of stuff that you could easily miss.
I think I actually like this. I'm not a big. I never got into achievements, but I like this idea of like we want to encourage you to try other games out, even stuff on the online, the retro games that are on the online Switch, because it's like almost like an educational stuff as well. Oh, Ian, this week I don't know, play Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat if it's on there. Like it gives you encouraging you to try something new, even for like 5 minutes. Go play it, check it out. Like why not? It says like, oh, you can go play Super Mario Brothers, the original, play the NES. I almost like that idea. It's almost like it's an encouraging way to nudge you to, play some stuff you have on here that you may not even realize you have, because some people think they might be archaic to play Super Mario Brothers. So, no, I like this. I think it's cool. And plus, it doesn't, like, some of these, and obviously some people have a lot of time to do some of these achievements that might take forever in these games. It sounds like, for the most part, this might be some smaller things that'll be easier to accomplish for people, too. So that's why I like it personally. I'd be like, oh, I don't have to do something that's going to take me 87 hours. Maybe I can do something that'll take me an hour, or 2 hours, maybe.
Sure.
Are there some achievements that are just like that, or just like impossible to get?
I mean, there's always tiers to achievements.
Sure.
There's the much longer ones, and then there's small little ones.
I see Nintendo as a company not wanting people to grind like that. They want more.
Why would you think Nintendo wouldn't want people to get more out of the game?
Because they want you to play as many games as possible, and so they can get more of your cash. Probably.
I don't know about that.
Okay, we'll see.
Like a stupid thing to not just add on at this point.
Well, they didn't. They went for the missions instead. Plus, Nintendo doesn't like to follow the crowd anyway.
Dude, it's a simple thing they can add that would make a lot of people happy. We don't need to make excuses for Nintendo.
I'm not making excuses. They don't follow the crowd. Why would they do something that Sony and Microsoft lead into?
Because at this point, it's just something that everything that's video game related does it. Steam does it. Epic Game Store does it. It's not an indicator anymore of hardcore gamers. This is just something that's become part of video games, and it's another example where Nintendo is stubbornly slow to catch up. It's not going to change the Nintendo experience. I don't think there's anything they're worried about with grinding. It's just Nintendo being dumb.
All right. Okay. I never got into achievements. So I guess if they did add achievements, then would they automatically be unlocked, or mission rewards? Will the mission rewards automatically be unlocked if you already did it? That's a question I'm curious about. If I go on, like if I already played like Super Mario Brothers, will I automatically get that, or would I have to redo it?
That I don't know.
Oh.
That I'm not certain.
Oh. Okay.